Hi, fifth graders. In this video, we're going to learn how to add transactions to our checkbook register. So an important word for us to know is transactions. What does transaction mean? So these things on your homework list are transactions. A transaction means anything that you do that adds money or takes money away from your bank account. If we look at the first transaction on our list, we see that we have the date that this transaction happened. It was February 12th of 2020. And the description of what transaction took place is right here. You receive a paycheck for $70. A paycheck means that something you're getting paid for your work. So it's money you're getting from someone else. You're going to put that money that you're getting into your bank account. So the directions say, write a deposit slip for check 234 for your paycheck. We did a deposit slip in a previous video. Check that one out if you need to know how to write a deposit slip. And then it says, and then add it to your register. So we're going to go to our register and look at how we're going to record adding $70 from a paycheck into our bank account. So here's our checkbook register here. And I'll notice on this side right here, I have a little key about what kind of codes I can use to show the type of transaction. So this is showing me the type of transaction right here. And there's that word again, transaction. I can either have a check, and it says check number. So if I write a check to someone else, then I'm going to put the number of the check that I wrote right here in one of these boxes. Then I have right here a DC, that stands for debit card. A debit card is kind of like a checkbook that you don't have to write. It's a really fast way to pay for something. You put your card out and you don't have to write out a whole check. But the money still comes out of your bank account just like if you wrote a check. So if I wanted to put a debit card transaction, I would put DC right in one of these boxes. Oops. If I wanted to deposit, that means I wanted to add the money into my bank account right there. I'd use a D to show it was a deposit transaction. And if I just wanted to take my money out of the bank, maybe I just want that money for myself. Oops. I want some cash, or I want to pay for something with cash instead of using a check or a debit card. I would use a W to show I just took money out of my bank account myself. So those are the different types of transactions. We get rid of all that. And now we can look at the next column. We have the date, and that means what day did we have that transaction happen. Over here we have, you notice we'll have 2 lines for every one of these transactions. Up here is a code to show us what goes on those 2 lines. We'll write who we are paying, if we're paying someone, if it's a debit card or a check number. Or we'll write the word deposit right here if we're depositing money, someone paid us. So for this one, we would write deposit on this line. We'll do that in a second. On the second line down here, up here we can see it says, what did you buy if you are paying for something? Or what did you deposit if you're putting a deposit in? So let's look at how we're going to do our first transaction. I'm going to go back and look one more time. It tells me I have a paycheck for $70. Okay, I'm going to go put that in here. So a paycheck means it's going to be a deposit. I'm going to put it into my account, so I'll put a D. The date that it happened was on 2/12/20. So I'm going to squeeze that in here. Be as neat as I can with my fat pen. Who are you paying? I'm not. It's a deposit. So I'm going to put deposit in here on the first line. And why did I get this deposit? Where did it come from? Well, it's my paycheck. So I'm just going to write that down here to say it was my paycheck that I got this from. And that's done. Now over here we have 2 columns. We're only going to choose one of these each transaction. We have an amount taken away, or we have an amount added into our bank account. We decide, depending on what type of transaction it is, which column we're going to fill in. This is a deposit, so that means I'm going to add this amount of money. The amount of money from this deposit was $70. So I'm going to put $70 right here. I'm going to put the 70 regular sized. Oopsie. Never mind. And then I'm going to put my dollars, or my cents, smaller and up in the sky there with a fraction bar underneath. That just makes it very clear. Sometimes if I just wrote it normally like I would in math with a decimal point and then 2 zeros the same size as the 70, it gets a little bit hard to tell where the dollars are and where the cents are because everything's the same size. So when I'm taking care of money like this, I like to write my decimals like that. So they're up in the sky, they're tiny, they've got a little fraction bar underneath, and it's really clear to see that that's where the cents are. Now over here underneath the balance, that's the next part we're going to fill out. The balance means how much is in my account right now. So in this blank spot right here, I'm going to start out with just putting $0, just to make it easy. Then right here, I see there's a plus sign and a minus sign. I'm going to be adding, so I'm just going to circle that to remind myself. I'm going to be adding $70 to this balance. So I'm going to write my $70. I'm going to be very neat when I do my math, any kind of math, but especially my checkbook register, because if I can't read my own handwriting, I'm going to make math mistakes and I'll have a wrong idea about how much money I have in my bank account, and that can be a problem. So since I'm adding, I'm going to take 0 and I'm going to add it to 70, and that gives me, and I see this equal sign, $70 altogether. So after I got my deposit for my paycheck into the bank, my balance was $70. That's what I had in the bank. Great. My first transaction is done. I'm going to go back and look at my next transaction. My next transaction happened on February 13th. It says you write a check for Netflix for $15.50 for streaming services. Write a check and add it to your register. The check number is 12. So this time I'm writing the check. No one's writing it to me like this one where it says I received a check. This time I'm writing the check. That means I'm paying for something. And I'm paying for my Netflix streaming services. I'm paying $15.50. And my check number, the number of the check that I'm writing, is number 12. So let me go put that on my register. Well, it's not a deposit, so I think I'm going to look down here. What kind of transaction is it? Well, it's a check. And when I have to put a check in, I'm going to write the check number in this area right here. So this was check number 12. So I'm just going to put 12 right there. And this transaction happened on February 13th of 2020. There we go. This was not a deposit. This was a who are you paying situation. So I'm going to be paying Netflix. I'm going to write that on the top line. Then what am I buying, or what did I pay for? I'm paying for my streaming services. There we go. Now I'm going to go think about what amount I want to put on here. Is this a takeaway or an add into my bank account? Well, I'm paying someone else for my Netflix, so they're not paying me any money. I'm paying them. The money is coming out of my bank account and going into their bank account, so it's going to come away. It's going to take away. And the amount was, I'm going to double check, $15.50. Okay. Put $15.50 right there. Notice again how I put my decimal numbers up in the sky right here, and I put a fraction bar underneath to really clearly see that they're separate from my dollars. I also wrote very neatly so I can see that it's a 50. Now, I'm not going to be adding this time. I'm going to be subtracting, so I like to just circle that just to remind myself. I'm going to line up my place values very neatly. The tens place lined up, the ones place lined up, and then the decimal part lined up. I had $70. Then I took away $15.50, which would give me $54.50. It's okay to use a calculator when you're doing your checkbook register, but also use your brain, because calculators don't think. They're great at doing whatever you punch into them to do, to compute, but they don't think. They don't have a brain like you do. So if you hit one wrong button on the calculator, it'll give you a wrong answer, and it's not going to stop and think about whether its answer makes sense. It doesn't have a brain. So whenever you're using a calculator, make sure you're also using your own thinking, because one little slip and hitting the wrong button on the calculator can give you a wrong answer. And if you're not using your own thinking brain along with the calculator, you won't notice. So $70, take away $15.50. I'm just going to think through and make sure it makes sense. Well, if it was $70, take away $10, that would be $60. And if I took away $5 from that, that'd be $55. And I took away 50 cents. Yep, that makes sense. $54.50 seems right. I think I did it right on my calculator. I always want to think it through, because my brain is much, much better than a calculator at thinking. In fact, it's completely better, because calculators can't think at all. So I'm going to get rid of all my little marks here. So I've got a clean register, and I'm going to go and look at my next transaction. All right, my next transaction says on February 14th of 2020, you write another check to Walmart to buy a new video game for $30. The check number is 13. Add it to the register. Okay, I'm going to go back to my register. I'm going to do another check number. Remember this check number. Oops, I got to switch to pen here. My check number is 13. So I'm going to write 13 here. This was on the 14th of February. There we go. And I wrote this check to who? This was to Walmart. And why did I write that check? I bought a video game. Now, I can't remember for sure how much this transaction was, so I'm just going to go back and check just to be sure. $30. Okay. $30. And I'm paying for that video game. I don't get to add $30 to my bank account. I get to take it away. So again, I'm going to go into this subtraction column. I'm going to put 30, and then I'm going to put 2 zeros really neatly in the sky with the underline, the fraction bar. Over here, I'm subtracting again. So I'm going to circle that to remind myself. I'm going to line up my places. The tens with the tens, the ones with the ones, and the tenths and hundredths with the tenths and hundredths. I can use my calculator, but I'm also going to use my own brain. If I had $50, take away $30, that would be $20. And I still have $4.50 left, so that would be $24.50. There we go. Great, I'm getting fast at this. I'm going to go check my next one. On the 15th of February, you write one last check for $25.50 to King Soopers for groceries. The check number is 14. Add it to your register. Okay, $25.50 to King Soopers for groceries. Check number 14. So again, check numbers, I just write the check number. Here we go, 14. Forgot the date. Oh, 2/15. Okay, 2/15/20. This was to King Soopers. It was for groceries. I believe the amount was $25.50, but I want to double check. This is very important. Yep, $25.50. If I put the wrong amount on my register, I might think that I have more money in my account than I actually do, and that could lead to me making a mistake and paying for something I don't have money for. So this is another takeaway, because I'm paying for something. I'm going to write my 25 here and my 50 neatly up in the sky with the fraction bar. I'm going to subtract it. Uh-oh. I only have $24.50 in my bank account right now, and I'm taking away $25.50. I'm taking away more money than I have. I just made a mistake. I wasn't paying close enough attention to my bank account balance, and I wrote a check, $25.50, for more money than I actually have in my bank account. I only have $24.50. Uh-oh. So what happens is I'm actually going to go into negative numbers. That means I'm not going to have any money. I'm going to have less than no money. I'm going to owe money back to the bank. So I'm going to owe a whole dollar back to the bank. Because I spent one more dollar than I actually had. I had $24.50. I spent $25.50. So I am now at negative. That's how we show that I'm in debt. I put a negative or a minus sign in front. I'm at minus $1. Oh no, I hope I get some extra money to deposit here soon. Let's see. Oh my goodness, I'm not being very responsible because I'm spending even more money, even though I've already overdrawn. That means I've spent more in my bank account than I have. This time you head into 7-Eleven and buy some hot Cheetos for $2.50 using your debit card. Add it to your register. Okay. This is not good. I've spent too much money. I'm going to spend even more, and I don't have it in my bank account, so we're going to have to do some more negatives. $2.16, 7-Eleven hot Cheetos, $2.50 debit card. Here we go. So there's no check number this time. This time, oops, I'm using my debit card. There it is. So I'm going to put DC here to show that it's a debit card transaction. And the date was on 2/16/20. I know none of you are going to do this because you're going to know you don't have any money. And you're not going to go try to spend more of it when you don't have any. I went to 7-Eleven. I guess I could write that out instead of being a shortcut there. 7-Eleven. And you bought hot Cheetos. And you paid $2.50. It's another subtract because we paid for something. I have to take away $2.50. I already had the bank that I owed $1 to. Now I added $2.50 more to my debt. So that means I now owe $3.50 back to the bank. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Let's go see if I spent any more money, or maybe I figured out that I should stop because I am overdrawn. When I'm in negative numbers and I owe the bank money back because I've promised more to people than I actually have, that's called overdrawn. All right, here we go. We're going to do one more. On 2/17, you receive a bonus from your job. Oh, thank goodness. A bonus means you get a little extra money on top of your paycheck for some reason. They give you an extra $15. That's really lucky since we were in debt and we owe the bank some money. Write a deposit slip for check 235 for your paycheck. We're not going to do that. We did deposit slips in another video. You can check that out. And then add it to your register. We are going to do that part today. So we got $15 bonus on 2/17. All right, so we're going to deposit again. And here we go. Deposit, remember, is what we do when we put the money in our bank account. So we're going to put a D for deposit. This was on 2/17/20. This was a paycheck. Oops, sorry. I messed that up. I actually wasn't paying attention. That's supposed to say deposit right there. Deposit. And then I'm going to say it's a bonus. Or I could say work bonus if I want to, but bonus is okay. I actually get to add this amount this time. That's really exciting because I get paid. I got a bonus. I get to add $15 to my bank account. That's great because my bank account was really, really more than out of money. So I'm going to add on $15. Great. Well, if I had nothing, that would add up to $15. But I didn't have nothing. I owe the bank $30.50 before I get to keep my $15. So the bank's going to take away the $3.50 I owe them. So that would be 15, take away 3 would be $12, take away 50 cents. I would have $11.50 now in my bank account. There's another transaction on your homework sheet, but it's another check, and I know you know how to write checks now. Your check register just keeps going every single time, as you can see, every single day. And I had another transaction. I just added another transaction to my register, and it just keeps going and going and going. When you run out of spaces, you would go to a new page and just keep going. And every time you do a transaction, you're going to be noticing how your balance has changed, because that's what tells you how much money is in your bank account right at that second. As you notice, we messed up here and we went into negative amounts in our bank account we probably weren't paying close enough attention to when we only had $24.50 and then we paid a $25.50 check to someone. That was more than we actually had. All right, that's how we write a check register, fifth graders. Go do a lot of practice. This is a super important skill, both for Ameritown and from real life. Too many people have never learned how to do this in real life, or they just don't keep up with it, like I sometimes don't, and it's not a good idea. So make sure that you get really good at this so you can have awesome control and knowledge about your bank account, and you'll be a very successful participant in our economy. Have a great time practicing with your check registers, fifth grade. I'll see you in the next video.